just spend money on bridges and tunnels and infrastructure now, and then that's done 2 or 3 years from now, you wind up, those projects are done, then those people are back out of work again. And so we'll be having another meeting. One of the guys, one of the witnesses said, we'll be back here in 2 or 3 years talking about, another jobs program. We have to increase early childhood education, enhance middle school education especially to keep young women or girls from dropping out of the sciences and math, which they tend to do at that age. There's a lot of female students who are very good at math and science, and the woman from MIT was particularly eloquent about this, have a tendency to back off of it, and we lose half of our labor pool for research, science and research and engineering, where we need to compete with China and India and Malaysia and other emerging powers, economic powers in the world, so that the next generation and the generation after that don't find that we're unable to compete on the world stage in those areas. So they're thinking short-term, medium-term, long-term, and just had a meeting with the mayor about the needs of Wappingers Falls, and there are some things that we already have requested federal funding for, and we're going to keep fighting for. I just learned about some other projects, but we're in there, trying to make sure that we get as much help as possible. I'm trying to make sure I can get as much help as possible for Wappingers and all of the 43 municipalities, towns, and a couple of cities that I represent. So that's the big news. I mean, it really is sort of, there are a lot of other things going on, but the big thing that we spent, every day we had a caucus on it, and emails flying around, and we were submitting our lists. Yesterday, it's just incredibly short timeline. Ordinarily, you'd be taking 6 months or more to do this kind of thing, but none of the economists, whether they're Republican or Democrat or non-aligned, one of the guys that got up, I think, was a Reagan economic advisor, and I'm sorry to Feldman, I think was his name, but I can't remember for sure. I don't have the list of witnesses in my head. He said, I hate to advocate borrowing this money, but we're in a situation right now where we just lost 524,000 jobs in the last month. We're losing 500,000 jobs a month at the moment, and he said the situation is getting worse, not better, and we need to aim high. It's better to spend more money on this project than to spend less, because if we try to do something and it's not enough, then we're going to find ourselves in some very deep water. And a couple of them said that they didn't think in their lifetime that they would seriously use or hear people using the word depression again. And not that we're in it now, but the danger is that if we don't stop this descent, the cycle of spending, where people are apprehensive and are afraid about their economic security, so they don't spend money on things that they might otherwise spend, and then the demand drops off for manufacturing, so manufacturing companies either go out of business or they shut down their production line, they lay people off, and then there's fewer people with money to spend, and then that causes the manufacturers this vicious cycle of lack of consumption, causing a lot of lack of manufacturing, and that's what we're in right now. So we're trying to do that. There's also a big bill that we're probably going to be passing on Wednesday. We're going to see it on the floor, and we'll probably pass it, we understand, Wednesday of next week, which is to put new and more stringent conditions on the TARP money. The first $350,000, sorry, 350, which I think was thousand, $350 billion that was we voted on last year to try to stabilize the financial industry. The administration, the current administration, Secretary Paulson, has whipped through that money without following the guidelines that were written in by Congress, without following the reporting, the 48-hour reporting on the internet of every transaction, without the IG being, Inspector General being in place. We were told, and we specified in the legislation, that they were going to buy the toxic paper, as they called it, which was mortgage-based securities that were suddenly unsellable, and that they were going to investigate to find out what they were actually worth, so we could buy maybe 20, 30 cents on the dollar, rather than taking their word for it as like, here's what this is worth. And for that reason, one of the reasons I voted for it was because we were told, I heard from Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Fed, and from Secretary of the Treasury Paulson, that the fastest they could go through that money would be $50 billion a month, because it would take so much time to